All right, let's dive right into the world of elite business education. We're talking about a place where the big promise of flexible hybrid learning has, well, run into some pretty tough challenges. We're going to explore how AI isn't just patching up the problems, but it's actually rebuilding the whole foundation of the modern MBA classroom. So, how's it doing that? Let's get into it. This quote just hits the nail on the head. Top MBA programs jumped on the hybrid model thinking they'd get the best of both worlds, right? But instead of this perfect, seamless solution, what they got was a super disconnected experience with like double the admin work and maybe half the student engagement. Not exactly the goal. And here's the real problem at the heart of it. The tools we've been using just weren't built for this kind of true hybrid interaction. I'm talking about static PowerPoints and these clunky one-way video calls. They end up creating a digital wall, not a bridge. They just can't close that gap between the students physically in the room and the ones online. And that leads to what a lot of people are now calling the engagement abyss. $7 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's the projection for the global interactive whiteboard market by 2030. So you can see this isn't just some niche software upgrade. We are talking about a massive, fundamental investment in changing the very way we teach and learn. Okay, so let's tackle that first major challenge head on. How in the world do you solve that engagement abyss? How do you create an experience that feels equal for everyone, no matter where they're logging in from? So here's the classic scenario, and you've probably felt this yourself. The professor's attention, naturally, is on the students right there in the room. They're the ones driving the conversation. And pretty quickly, if you're remote, you start to feel like you're just watching the class on TV. Your attention drifts, you start checking emails, and just like that, the learning experience becomes totally unequal.
But this is where AI-powered platforms completely flip the script. First, they democratize participation. Everybody, and I mean everybody, can contribute to a shared digital space in real time. Second, you get instant clarity. An AI facilitator can take hundreds of ideas and group them by theme in seconds, making sure every single voice is actually heard and organized. And third, these create what's called a persistent workspace. So unlike a physical whiteboard that gets erased, this digital space becomes a living, breathing document of the whole class's journey.
Okay, so if AI can totally streamline how students collaborate, what can it do for the faculty? This brings us to our next huge pain point, the incredible administrative burden. And this is more than just an annoyance, it's a real strategic problem. Think about it. We have these brilliant, top-tier professors and program managers spending hours and hours just creating slides, building out frameworks from scratch, and prepping case materials. This is a massive misuse of their expert time that could be spent mentoring students and leading those really deep, high-level discussions. So here's the AI solution in action. Imagine you're prepping a lesson on Porter's 5 forces. Instead of starting with a blank slide, boom, the AI generates the template for you instantly. Or you upload a super dense case study, and the AI just pulls out the key data and creates visual trend charts on the fly. It literally turns pages and pages of text into strategic insights in seconds. 57%. That's how much prep time faculty can potentially save by automating these foundational tasks. I mean, that is an absolute game changer. It frees up these amazing educators to focus on what they do best, nurturing deep, critical thinking. And all this newfound efficiency, it brings us to a really important turning point. If we're changing how we teach, then we also have to change how we measure success. It's time to move past those old, passive metrics. Just take a look at this table. The old way was all about presence. Was their camera on? Did they show up? But the new metrics are all about active participation. We can now measure the quality and frequency of a student's contributions. We can see how they build on each other's ideas. We can track the success of their collaborative projects. Basically, we're moving from asking, did they watch, to did they build, debate, and create. It's a huge shift. So this new ability to truly measure real engagement, it lets us start thinking so much bigger. It's not just about the tools anymore. It's about consciously and carefully designing the MBA of the future, with AI integrated right at its core, ethically and effectively. So what does responsible AI integration actually look like? Well, for any school with a reputation to protect, it's non-negotiable. It means using platforms that guarantee data privacy, making sure student work isn't feeding public AI models. It means keeping the professor in the loop as a guide and a mentor, not just a bystander. And it means a serious commitment to mitigating bias through transparency. This trust by design approach is becoming a really powerful way for schools to stand out. Now, just a quick but really important clarification. People mix up hybrid and blended learning all the time. Blended learning is just mixing online and offline work, like watching a video before coming to an in-person class. Hybrid learning, which is what we're focused on, is that much harder challenge of teaching in-person and remote students at the exact same time, in the same session. And that's precisely the problem these AI platforms are built to solve. So when this all comes together, the classroom totally transforms. It stops being just a lecture hall, and it becomes a genuine leadership lab. Students are learning to argue with the AI, to stress test its outputs. And with all the boring, rote tasks automated, class time is freed up to focus on those essential human skills, like creativity, empathy, and leadership. They are literally training for the way they will work in the future C-suite, which will absolutely be AI-powered. So, at the end of the day, this isn't really just a technical upgrade. For MBA programs that want to lead the pack, adopting these AI tools is a strategic imperative. It's a clear signal that they're committed to building a modern, engaging, and truly effective learning community for every single one of their students. And that really leaves us with this one final big question to think about. The world of work is being reshaped by AI at a dizzying pace. The question that every single educational leader has to be asking themselves is, are our classrooms keeping up? Are we just teaching about AI, or are we actively building the skills our students will need to lead alongside it?